Hey, Lisa.
Hey there.
Trying to get my lighting right. At least my camera works this time.
Yeah, I have some strange lighting.
Oh, well, you've got your background, so it looks, it looks pretty normal. It's a little fuzzy on one side.
It's circular.
Yeah, you could do shadow play on the wall. Well, thanks for setting it up. There you go. See, there's a duck. There's Joe.
All right.
Hey, Joe.
Good evening.
Oh, let's see here.
Joe, you know Lisa, right? I can't remember.
I don't think we've met.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, Lisa's been part of our staff almost as long as I have, and one of our planners, and she's much more familiar with a lot of the nuts and bolts of this process than I am. But and she set up the meeting. And Joe's one of the transportation planners. Is that your official title, just transportation planner, or something else?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean to say just.
No, that's the funny thing, because I did get my AICP, right? So I've got that, but no one says that at the end. I'm technically a planner 3, but it means so many different things between organizations. Doesn't mean anything.
Well, I asked just because I wanted to introduce you, right? And I just thought, I didn't know if there's anything else. But anyway, so Joe's with VHB, and they're of course, the consultants that they were on the short list that NCDOT gave us. And really, Matt Hubert was most familiar with you guys.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him, but he touted your company quite highly. And so, and when we looked things over, we thought this is the one. So anyway, so Joe's been great. And when did y'all first start really working on the project with us, Joe? When did we first start communication?
It was nearly a year ago when we were going back and forth through NCDOT on the scope, updating that to tailor it to the town. But we didn't start really any exchange of data until I think fall. It's October of 2020.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, there was such a long period where everybody just had to wait on NCDOT.
Yep. I've had that happen with one of the pedestrian plans. I've been working on that. I'm actually wrapping up, finishing the final plan for it. We wanted to do a wait and see in the summer of 2020 because they really want to do an in-person event, because they have large swaths of their community that don't have internet access.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want to go completely virtual. So we waited and we waited. Instead, we found a different way to get out to people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was some lost time there in the summer where we waited.
Yeah, well, I know we were busy at our end doing other things, so the timing kind of worked out well for us. So hopefully it worked out all right for y'all too.
Yeah.
Good.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Who has the PowerPoint that you're going to be presenting, Joe?
I do.
Okay, so Blair, do I need to make you a co-host for any reason, or can I make Joseph a co-host?
I think Joe can just be host. That's fine. I mean, I may pipe up with a few words here or there, but it's mostly Joe's show. So that's fine.
So Joe, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay.
But don't end the meeting, okay?
Understood.
No matter how angry we make you.
Just the PowerPoint.
You haven't met the planning board yet.
Yeah, I don't see any planning board members yet. And
not yet.
We have 3 minutes left, so I don't know if I hope they said all of them said that they would be here.
Yeah.
So we will see.
But Joe, there was a lot of communication at the last minute. I did hear back from Jeff about the meeting, and he feels really strongly we've got to have at least 2 weeks, and he was saying preferably 3. But when I look at our April 1st meeting, that seems like that would hit it.
Okay, I've got an asterisk next to it in the presentation.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll just we're just working that out, but so at this point, I'll be able to get in touch with our promoter and start getting the word out. So let's just go ahead and say April 1st and work with that.
Great.
There's Deepa.
Deepa's here.
Good evening.
Good evening, Deepa.
So what was that first second where you're getting your bearings in your Zoom meeting?
You're changing which device you use to talk into.
I know. Yeah. Get the lighting right.
Hi,
Hi,
Black.
everybody.
Hey, Deepa,
How are you?
can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you
Okay,
hear
great.
me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, good to have you with us. We appreciate you joining tonight.
Yeah, okay.
How are you enjoying planning board so far?
Oh, good, actually good.
Good. Joe, we have some new planning board members and Deepa is one of them. So we're very excited to have her there. And Nicholas Nash just joined us and he's been on the planning board. Nicholas, how long have you been on the planning board? You'll hear us in a second. But anyway, he's been with us a little bit longer.
Okay.
Here come the rest. Here come the cavalry.
Here to come.
All right.
So are the attendees, Elisa, are they, is it Alyssa or Elisa?
Elisa.
Elisa, are the attendees members of the public that are listed?
They're usually members of the public. Some planning board members come in as attendees and then I promote them to panelists because
Okay.
that's how Zoom works. Sometimes they come in as panelists, sometimes as attendees, but most of the attendees should be members of the public. And the
Alright.
planning board members will be panelists. Scott, real quick. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so everybody said they would be here. So just like last time, if we have all the members and the alternates, then one alternate will have to be promoted to a normal voting member. The other alternate can participate in discussion, but not in voting.
10-4.
Evening,
Yeah, I
Scott.
think
Evening,
it's-
everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Deepa.
Hello, Scott. Hello, everybody.
Hi, James.
Hello, everyone.
Blair.
Hey, Scott, good to see
Joe, and of
you.
course, Alyssa. Yeah, nice to see you guys. So is that, are we going to proceed the same, Alyssa, on the alternate?
Do
If
you
that,
mean-
if that's the
you-
case,
you mean which one we would choose?
yes.
I think that last time we said it would be James this time. He would be first and then we would switch.
Yeah, that's, that,
Stephanie,
yeah, James, that'll be good.
okay. But if we only have 7 of the 8 people, then we wouldn't have to do any kind of promotion. It would just be normal.
Got it.
But it looks like we,
We're at 6:31 now, and Bob looks like he joined the party. And
Yep.
welcome, Bob. Good evening.
Scott.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Deepa.
hey, Bob.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Blair.
Terry just joined as
Lisa.
well.
And Carrie just joined us as well.
Hey, Terry.
All
I'm
right.
Nick. Cool.
Last
Hey, guys.
person would be Stephanie. And I don't see
Now have
her
a-
yet.
We now have a Brady Bunch screen.
Well, let me get my,
Okay, we got 6:32 now. I'll give it one more minute, and then we'll get started. Because darn it, I think Stephanie will join us this time. I have high hopes. Bob went from the Wall of Fame to the Waxhaw background. Look at that.
Pretty classy.
Yeah, very classy. Okay, see if Bob gets back on here, or he's drowned it out in his.
How do y'all get that Waxhaw screen?
It's
It's
just, yeah.
You can get it as a JPEG file and then you can just upload it to Zoom and use it as your virtual background.
Oh, yeah, I was going to
fun.
ask the same. Good. Oh, so you can get it online, like from Google, from our
Oh,
township.
I can actually send it to you. Originally, our GIS planner, Max, he sent it to me. And if
Okay.
you'd like it, I can send it to you as well if you'd like the Waxhaw background.
That would
That
be
would be
helpful. Thank
fun.
you, Alyssa.
I'll use it at my work meetings and tell them I'm still working in the town. We're special.
There you go. Is Bob here or is he?
It says he's on.
Okay, very good. I just see a background.
He made an appearance,
There we go. And that, hey, and we're fortunate for that. So
aren't we?
we're all the better. Okay, so I have 6:33. So I believe we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm smacking the gavel and I officially call to order the Waxhaw Planning Board meeting for March 15th, 2021. Good timing, Bob. First item on the agenda, attendance. Alyssa, could you please perform attendance roll call for quorum?
Before I do roll call, I would like to go over a few logistics. Please remember to keep your video on during the meeting and mute yourself when you're not speaking so that all members can be heard. Please remember to identify yourself when making a comment or motion, and all voting on items must be conducted by roll call. I will now conduct roll call. When I call your name, please indicate if you are present. Chairman Scott Shelton,
Chairman Shelton, aye.
Vice Chair
Present.
Bob Morgan,
Bob Morgan, present.
Nicholas Nash, Terry Nolan,
Present. Terry Nolan, present.
Deepa LeMay,
Deepa Lemay present.
Charlie Thomas, James Granger,
Here.
Stephanie Coffey, Nicholas Nash, I see him on here. Nick, are you with us?
He was on camera a minute ago.
I think he keeps trying to rejoin. Scott, would you like us to count him as attending or?
Yeah, if we saw him, we'll proceed accordingly. We'll add him to the attendance.
All right, well, I'll turn the meeting back over to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Alyssa. All right, so we do have a quorum. And Alyssa, do we have any public comments for this meeting?
We do not have any public comments.
Okay, thank you. So next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Anyone? Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda by Terry Nolan.
Thank you, Terry Nolan.
You're welcome.
So, Alyssa, can we have a vote on the approval of the agenda on the motion?
Chairman Scott Shelton,
Chairman Shelton, aye.
Vice Chair Bob Morgan,
Aye.
Nicholas Nash, Terry Nolan,
Aye.
Deepa LeMay,
Deepa Lemay, aye.
James Granger,
Aye.
and again, Scott, I see Nicholas on here, but he didn't speak, so what would you like to do?
Well, since we're not getting his votes at this point, I think we'll have to do an absent if everybody agrees. If we're not getting him, if we can't get his votes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed, yes.
Did we try sending an email or text in case his microphone isn't working or his audio? Or if he
I
jumps
read-
on, can we change that vote? I'm just wondering if there's a technical issue.
It could be, but at this point, we're too far into this and we've already performed a vote. So I think we're just going to have to proceed accordingly. So Alyssa,
Okay, thank you.
strike him unfortunately from the attendance. Like, for example, I got a text from Charlie. He's running late. So unfortunately, this happens.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you, Terry. All right, so we had the vote to approve the agenda. So next order of business, item C, minutes for correction and approval. Does anyone have any corrections? No corrections. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Make the motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Thank you, Deepa. Alyssa, may I have a vote?
Chairman Scott Shelton,
Chairman Shelton, aye.
Vice Chair Bob Morgan,
Bob Morgan, yes.
Terry Nolan,
Aye.
Deepa Lemay,
Aye, Deepa Lemay.
and James Granger.
Aye.
Guys have it.
Thank you, Alyssa. All right. Item D, old business. We do not have none. We have none, so we'll proceed to item E, new business. At this point, pedestrian plan update, and I'll turn it over to the town staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Scott. I just want to say a few things before we welcome Joe Seymour. Many of you may already be aware of Waxhaw's existing pedestrian plan that was adopted back in 2012, and I had the privilege of putting that together when I worked for Central Atlanta Council of Governments. But the policy of NCDOT is that for towns under 50,000 in population, when their plan reaches 5 years old, they are eligible to apply for an update of the plan. And I would just say our plan definitely needs an update because Waxhaw has changed since 2012. We've grown considerably, and there's so many ways in which our plan can be updated and improved and reworked. And so we look forward to that opportunity. So we went ahead and sent in an application for that grant with the resolution passed by the board to do so, and also passed by CRTPO. The estimate for the update was in the bracket between 45,000 and 65,000 in range, and the town was committed or is committed for a 20% match of that comes out of the general fund. NCDOT, needless to say, awarded that application, and that was early last year, but things went on pause for quite a while. And they just told us, we'll get to you, hold on. And so they finally have, NCDOT in that time did recommend a short list of consultants for us to work with. They're approved consultants, and we saw VHB and we're very excited about that. And we said, that's who we definitely want to work with. And so NCDOT allowed that. And so tonight we have Joe Seymour, who's transportation planner for VHB. And he and his team have begun work actually late last fall, but things got off to a little bit of a slow start until we could really get going. And so they've made some progress so far, but we're still in the beginning stages of the plan. So he'll be able to tell you all about that and where we're headed. So I want to go ahead and introduce Joe Seymour to you guys. Joe, he has a good presentation plan for you tonight.
All right. Blair, thank you for that background and introduction. As Blair noted, Joe Seymour, I'm a planner with VHB in Raleigh. Currently, I'm sitting in Chicago, but my team is, who's not with us tonight, Luba Luzeva and Connor Clausen are both based out of the Charlotte office, and they've been able to do some local field work as well. So we've got kind of a two-pronged teaming approach for VHB. So thank you again for having me. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I've got a brief presentation that I'd like to go over to describing what the pedestrian plan process is and where we are with the town, as well as how we can utilize your guidance in helping us move forward. Okay, is everyone able to see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, it's coming through.
Okay, wonderful. So here's our roadmap for today. Again, I want to share what a pedestrian plan is, the plan schedule, followed by the plan status, and then what our proposed outreach strategy is and how we can leverage your involvement with the town and knowledge of the community to further our engagement. Okay, so first, what is a pedestrian plan? Well, according to DOT, because that's, as Blair noted, who the grant is through, there's a set of content standards that define the major components of a pedestrian plan. And you can see here on the screen, regardless of what consultant or what COG or what entity completes a plan, all these elements are required as part of it. There's always an introductory element that tells the story of the town, city, or county and why they're pursuing a plan. Next, we go into current conditions where we describe how many people live there, what the nature of the pedestrian network is, are there sidewalks, greenways, what have you. What's the nature of business in the area, and what are the planned improvements as well, both in terms of a near term, like a 10-year transportation improvement plan, as well as what are they anticipating longer term? Are there future land use updates that are going to be anticipated, as well as what is the current traffic characteristics, how many vehicles, what speeds, and what's the nature of any bicycle pedestrian crashes as well. So we try and get develop a profile or an assessment of the town, village, city, or community. And from there, we do a series of community events, surveys, stakeholder interviews to develop a recommended system plan. And this is where we identify the corridors, the roadways, where the key sidewalk projects would be, greenway projects, shared use paths, crossing improvements, pedestrian bridges, these types of things. And that's followed by a series of recommended policies and programs to help both implement these projects, as well as provide education and encouragement to get people out walking and biking, depending on what the plan is. And this is followed by an implementation plan where we line out, we establish who's in charge of what steps, when, and with what funding source. So here's a better sense of a recommended system plan. No doubt, as part of the planning board, you're used to seeing aerial maps of your community. This is an example from one of the town's town pedestrian plans we worked on several years ago for the town of Fairmont, North Carolina. And what these do is they detail the physical improvements, such as where are sidewalk connections, our shared use paths, as well as what are our intersection projects, as well as those other projects like our bridges, our tunnels, if relevant, and so forth. Through the physical improvements in the recommended system plan, we'll ultimately identify what the planning level costs are using NCDOT cost estimators, as well as potential funding sources. And from this, it provides you a framework for when when the town is going to update its capital improvement plan, or if it's pursuing grant funding, or as well if it's looking to bundle a local transportation project as part of an NCDOT roadway project. It gives you a framework to build upon to incorporate those projects when there's an opportune time to do so. And finally, this is specifically pertinent to Waxhaw, where there are regional trails facilities or regional paths, like the Carolina Thread Trail. We'll recommend those connections within the community to these larger networks. Another major component to help the plan feel real, and these are only available at the end, but we call them project visualizations or our pilot projects. And I think for the town of Waxhaw, we have, I think, 6 to 7 or 6 to 8 project visualizations we have to do. Blair, I apologize. I'll have to check the scope to confirm how many we're supposed to do for this size town. But what these are, they're essentially very detailed cut sheets for the highest priority projects as determined by the steering committee and in consultation with NCDOT and with the town staff. And what this is we develop cross sections. We get the key traffic characteristics for these areas. We break down, dive deep in detail into a couple of these projects. And this is an example from one for the city of Wilson we conducted, where in addition to identifying here's what the conditions look like now, we then we take the project recommendations and we develop some more planning level diagrams to help, again, planning staff, engineering staff, public works, take these project recommendations and make them real when the project opportunity comes up. I already talked about implementation briefly, but we develop a nice infographic that goes along with the plan that details what are the key strategies, stakeholders, champions, and so forth for realizing projects identified throughout the plan. And we identify these across a quick build or things that can be done with a tactical urbanism, some paint and some planters, as well as what can be done in the near future, 0 to 2 years, intermediate and then longer range, greater than 5 to 10 years. Okay, so I believe as part of one of the handouts circulated for today, we shared the project schedule, and I'll go over that now. So the pedestrian plans, they're typically structured to last 1 year. They can go as long as 2 years. I know some plans I've been associated with are taking longer because of COVID, but other plans that are pre-COVID took about 12 months to complete. So that's the standard schedule we're working towards. So we began some of the data sharing with Blair and his colleagues back in November of 2020. And then that really kicked off our 3-phase plan. Well, first we're looking at existing conditions where we get an understanding of the zoning, business trends, bicycle and pedestrian crashes, roadway characteristics, and other key programming and recreational activities provided by the town. And during this phase, we meet twice. We've already held our first steering committee meeting. We held it virtually in February. And you can see that star there. We have our first public workshop coming up in March or April. Following our first public workshop, we have a second steering committee meeting in May, as tentatively scheduled. And then that takes us into the second major phase, which is analysis and outreach. And during this stage, we start crunching all the data we received from the town, as well as going over the results of our first survey and our first public engagement process. We hold a third steering committee meeting where we reflect on some interim recommendations we've been developing. We hold a second public workshop where we get we take the temperature of where we're going with the plan in terms of where we're recommending shared use paths, crossing improvements and sidewalks, as well as programs. And those activities are scheduled for July, hopefully when we're able to meet more in person. And finally, we get into the third phase, which is plan development. And this is when we take our draft recommendations and we vet them more with the town, with NCDOT, and with the steering committee. We develop our draft plan. We create a fully formatted plan that's suitable for print, as well as electronic viewing. We hold a 4th steering committee meeting where we go over this content, we get feedback, and then we publish that final plan. And this is scheduled for October of 2021. Now, one of the things I mentioned in the last slide were these public engagement opportunities. And there are a couple that we're looking for the planning board's involvement in. I'll get to that at the end of the presentation. Luckily, or unfortunately, you're not involved in the 4 steering committee meetings that are held throughout the 12 months. But we will be looking for guidance on the public workshops. April 1st is our tentatively scheduled virtual live and archived Zoom webinar, and that'll be in the evening. The second one hopefully will be in person. We'll be able to come down either and do a standalone community workshop or a series of pop-ups around the town. That'll be to be determined. So I'll be based on health guidance at the time. And one ongoing public engagement item we'll be doing, well, it's actually started a couple days ago, but we'll be revving it up and continuing it through the spring, is our MetroQuest survey. So I'll be able to share this link after the presentation, but waxhaw-walks.metroquest.com has a 5-slide public engagement survey. It's exceptionally user-friendly. It can be used easily on mobile phones as well as on desktop. And this is used to identify opportunities and barriers for the pedestrian plan in Waxhaw. And that's up now, and it's going to be up through May 5th. And if you haven't seen the MetroQuest slide before, this is exactly what it looks like when you go to that website. You're able to be familiar with the plan's vision, as well as identify barriers, opportunities, great ideas for improving walking in the town, as well as where you live. These are all, for the most part, anonymous data points. There is some voluntary contact information at the end of the survey that we use just for providing a gift card raffle. Okay. Guiding our plan are our visions, goals, and objectives. During our first steering committee meeting back in February, we did a word cloud exercise. We asked people to give us keywords to identify what the pedestrian plan's vision should be. And safe, accessible, connected, you can see the themes that were coming through, which led us to then update the 2012 vision to the vision for the updated pedestrian plan, which is, you can see on your screen, but the Waxhaw pedestrian plan shall promote the traits that make Waxhaw a great place to live, work, shop, and play, so that residents and visitors are well connected to the town's character, history, unique charm, safe and neighborly environment, and active downtown. So that's the vision that's helping guide our updated plan. Now with that, I want to go briefly into the plan status. So Blair was involved with the previous pedestrian plan in 2012, which was really focused around key activity areas identified in blue. This encompassed the downtown, parks, schools, certain communities, and it really sought to expand the greenway system and sidewalk connections, as well as update key crossing locations and develop policy and ordinances that supported connectivity. And I think a lot of that has been done, but the town has grown. It's nearly doubled in population since that plan's completion. So this is really a ripe time to revisit. Our team was down in January and did a field visit of a couple of those key focus areas where we're able to take pictures and document where there's new development as well as their gaps and how pedestrians were navigating the built environment. So it's part of our existing conditions data collection that wrapped up in January and February. From there, we're crunching data on the existing and planned sidewalks and paths throughout the community, as well as looking at data on traffic volumes and speeds, as well as looking at 10 years of pedestrian crashes throughout the community, which most of them have been in low speed environments in the downtown, as well as in the northern part of the town. We did some initial analysis looking at a pedestrian risk score based on the speed and volumes of roadways, and what's kind of bearing out on some of our initial analysis of the pedestrian crashes over the last 10 years is that we've had clusters of crashes happening where we'd expect them to happen. We also tend to look at crashes and risk in terms of poverty and zero vehicle households, those that may be walking for more of their trips than driving. Some other things I wanted to share about safety, because that is a passion of mine. Some key here stats on the pedestrian crashes, that they've been relatively level over the last 10 years. There have been, most of the crashes have been minor injury crashes, which is kind of reflected by the nature of the crashes themselves. Most have been happening during daytime at low speed conditions, and speed is a key factor in injury severity. So if the crashes are happening at lower speeds, survivability is much higher, as well as the risk of serious injury is much lower. I wanted to point out a fun thing our steering committee was able to do during our meeting back in February. We're able to gather initial feedback on key barriers and issues through a concept board, interactive mapping. Typically, we have a huge map. You're familiar with these large zoning maps. We sit around a table and mark them up. For our first steering committee meeting, however, we did it virtually. And so all of our the steering committee members were able to get on and mark up areas that were problematic, as well as identify new locations for shared use paths, sidewalks, and crossings. So this is all part of our initial data collection, which brings us to our next steps and our final call to action. So the first thing we have is promoting the survey, which is now up at waxhawwalks.metroquest.com. It's open through May 5th. And one of the questions I wanted to pause for the group here is, what would be some of your recommendations for distributing the electronic note for this survey, as well as what would be an opportunity for the most seamless way to promote availability of the printed version as well?
Well, this is Chairman Scott Shelton. This is kind of in prelude to one of my questions, and how is this going to be advertised? I know the town throws and advertises these type of promoting events online, but I'm afraid not everybody that would be interested in participating in this would actually ever see that promotion. And so I do have that question for Blair and the town staff. What is a good approach in addition to just posting online?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Scott, because that's certainly our same question. We're always trying to improve those methods. We find that so often the people who show up are the people who have gotten some personal word about it, word of mouth, and so one of the groups that's integral to that is our steering committee. The steering committee for this plan represents a wide array of interests and groups within the town. And so, they recognize that they have a responsibility within that group to kind of get the word out. But, we know that it's difficult, to do that besides the usual methods that we use. And so we definitely want to kind of get y'all's input on how that can be best done, and maybe make use of, we would love the planning board to be involved with that and to spread the word themselves. So yeah, in addition to online and through some of the social media that we use, and I think a few different printed options. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for ways to get that word out, and we're looking for ideas. So we'd love to hear from you all tonight.
Yeah, this is
Right.
Chairman Scott again. And I love that approach, Blair. And this is some, this pedestrian plan is it's a great approach. And that's my main concern. People who are hyperactive or communities that have HOAs that can spread the word, the mill bridges of the world, et cetera. You'll get a lot of participants, but I'm concerned the areas that don't have the HOAs, the people off of Howie Mine Road, those places that are adjacent to downtown, but do not have connectivity with sidewalks, et cetera.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that community, especially because one of our steering committee members is Denise Truesdale, and we're really hoping that through her involvement, we'll be able to get the word out through the church there and other ideas that she may have. But yeah, we understand that's a concern of ours as well. We want to do as best we can. So yeah, I just want to underscore that
that's a great approach. Is maybe some signs in addition to all the online efforts. But that's where my thought process is maybe somehow the town can post signs in various places, and then obviously I open up to the rest of the plan board if they have any ideas.
So yeah, Terry Nolan here. What about print mailers? I mean, what are our limitations with that? Is it a budget issue? Going back to the social media, I know from the business that I'm in that there are such limitations with social media now. Not everybody sees, even if you follow Town of Waxhaw, which I do, I actually have to go hunt and seek for the information that I know is out there. And back to the HOAs, I'm not sure they're helping us much with distribute this local information. I haven't seen things coming here from Millbridge in particular through the HOA. If there were no restrictions with mailing, I would say a print mailer, and not sure why we couldn't couple that with other initiatives we have going on. What about Town of Waxhaw? Here are the dates upcoming for the summer, and we've got other things going on with the new development code as such. So
yeah, I would like to see that happen. I know that cost is a factor there, but we'll see if we can factor that in. And I like what you're saying about coupling that with maybe other events, and that by advertising a few different events, upcoming notices, putting them all together in one mailer makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we can do some envelope stuffing.
Okay. All right.
We have a couple kids.
That's great.
get
That's a
some
big
people
task. And so, yeah, I appreciate that. I'll see if we can make that happen.
Great.
Is
Might make sense.
this is member?
We have echo problem.
Yeah. Is this something that we can? All right.
Welcome.
Is this
Mr.
something
Nash.
that we can? Well,
Nick, maybe,
my
I know this is
question.
very frustrating for you. Sorry, I hate that. Is there something that maybe you could text in to Scott or someone or email? Because we want to make sure that we capture your ideas. try again.
Yes, Nick, we can follow up and discuss that and get your input on that since you're having technical issues. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, hi, this is Deepa Limay. Partly, I definitely agree with Terry on what she mentioned about the HOA circulating things, and Scott's idea, the mill bridges of Waxhaw, we can definitely, because the Facebook pages of the community and everything is very strong. But in addition to the idea of mailers where we don't have HOAs or where the community is not well knit together, I was also thinking we could also make those like a flyer, and the Harris Teeter is kind of the point of contact where everybody who lives in Waxhaw kind of goes there. And if we can do that like a little flyer and keep it there, maybe that will also help so that people are aware. Because I see when there is those drives, the Friday drives, this, that from town of Waxhaw, I see a lot of movement and attention being given to those. So I was just wondering.
Okay, and I haven't had personal experience in doing that with them, and I want to see if we can make that happen. Yeah, Harris Teeter, maybe Food Lion as well.
I can volunteer to talk to Harris Teeter and find out if we can do that, and I can get back to either of you.
Great. Okay, that's wonderful, Deepa. I think that could make a huge difference. Yes. All right.
And eventually, when we have digital signage up in Waxhaw, that'll solve these problems too. So
Yes.
The day will come. I think.
we're working on those banners eventually, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
There is also, like Terry said, one last idea. The next door idea is also great because next door is something that individual house owners are connected. It's not about the HOA or it's not about the community. And that also is pretty strong in Waxhaw area. I would volunteer to make sure we put it in there also.
Okay, well, I think
Good one.
Joe, the announcement that's in your email to me, I wonder if that's something that could be sent out to the planning board. And Deepa, thank you. We could send you some language that would maybe work for that for next door. And
Yeah.
If we hear back from you on Harris Teeter, and I can look into other places, then maybe we could create a flyer easily enough and get some of those printed off.
Sure, sure. I will get back to you soon.
Okay, great.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Wonderful ideas, y'all. Anything else you want to recommend? And your personal involvement with this means a lot to us and is a big help.
All right, anybody else with any comments or suggestions?
This is Bob. I have a couple comments. One, we could probably have, what's his name? Mayor Pappas mentioned tomorrow when he has that talk, Meet the Mayor tomorrow night. Maybe we could put it, does the town still have a deal where they get like a weekly or bi-weekly something in the local weekly paper or something? Like Tri-W?
Yeah, the Tri-W, I believe so.
Okay, I mean, that might be a good place to put like a little piece of that real estate, put it there.
Yeah, I didn't mention that specifically, but that's part of our normal package, getting the word
Okay,
out.
normal
But
stuff.
I can get an email. Well, I'll talk to the town manager and maybe Jeff can, forward it on to Ron or whatever. See if he would be willing to put that in his message tomorrow night. I don't see why not. So thanks for mentioning that.
No problem. No, I mean, because I figured the people who actually, are most interested will be the ones who are actually like, look at that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
Mhm.
you would think that they would look at it and then maybe tell other people or suggest to Ron that maybe, tell him, have people watching, suggest to other friends to help him, just to promote it more.
Yeah, Ron will have an audience. So, and I like that the way that Joe and VHB has set things up. We're talking about a meeting to come, yes, but in the meantime, we have the virtual survey that's up. And so just getting people to that, or to the online survey, just getting people to that survey, that's promotion for the town meeting itself, or they can at least, either get the survey out or say, wow, there's this great planning work that's being done. And they have the survey, but there's also a meeting coming up. I mean, it works to promote the meeting as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's, I'll get the word to the mayor and see what we can do.
Yeah, it's good like cross promotion. Another thing is I looked it up and I just tried sharing it myself and it worked and everything. It's a good link, but the picture is for a different town. It's like for the town of Kinston or something like that.
For
Not
the
that it's a huge deal,
MetroQuest?
but it's one of those things that's kind of like, how good is this that they're having the wrong picture, the wrong town on there?
Are you talking about the MetroQuest promo?
Yes.
Joe, can you comment on that? I don't remember what
That
it looked like.
that should not be.
Okay.
That should certainly not be. So, yeah, they had to refresh the cache for that. Yeah, Bob, I'm either going to take that down and have that fixed, or fix that immediately. So,
Thanks,
Cool.
Bob.
Yeah, I don't want to be critical,
catch.
but I mean,
Good
it's one of
catch.
those
No,
things
I
that's a
agree
good
with you,
crit- that's
Bob.
a
It
good
needs to be
critique.
that
Waxhaw.
might help.
Thanks
would
for
agree.
mentioning that. That's important.
So I do have 4 questions actually, but they're not related to the survey. Do you want me to reserve those until the end, or what's the good time for you?
Well, I think this is Scott. I think once they finish with their presentation, we'll go into the discussion mode.
Okay.
Yeah, I think right now we're just talking about
The survey?
recommendations for distributing the survey.
Sounds good.
Bob, question: when you opened the survey, did you open it up on your desktop or was that on your mobile?
It's on my it's my laptop.
Okay.
I just went to the site. It was tough finding it actually. I had to like put in like the exact thing you had printed on the screen,
Mhm.
and then I clicked on that. I went to that, and there was a thing on there you could share it on social media.
Mhm.
So I shared it to my page, my Facebook page, and then it came up, saying Waxhaw, but then the town of Kinston was in the picture, and then I figured let me try something different. So I just copied the link and then tried posting that, but I got the same exact thing.
Okay.
With the wrong picture, but
I
the
know
right
it.
link. It goes to Waxhaw,
Mhm.
but the picture says City of Kinston, whatever it is. That was it.
Okay, good. So it's the social media link. Duly noted. So what we can do as well is that outside the scope of these types of projects is an independent project website that would be like Waxhaw Walks 2021.com. But Blair, what I can produce is just a small redirect link instead, like a tiny URL or a bit.ly with a QR code as well, that just, if people scan it, takes them directly to the survey website, just to make it.
You're saying you'd place that where? I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
No, I can just create those and then
Yeah.
share that, and then it can be like the QR code, for example, can be printed on the flyer, so people can just see
Yes.
it, bring their phone up, we take them directly to the page.
Yeah, I like it, especially having the QR code on the flyer. People are getting more used to those, and they may not want to pick up a flyer, but they can flash their phone over it and boom, they're there. So that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Bob again real quick. I'm assuming if flyers, like besides putting it at the grocery stores, like maybe at some of the local restaurants like Stacks or like, Maxwell's downtown or, Dream Chasers or, Maine. I mean, because they're getting some traffic. I don't think they're getting much, but they're getting some people coming out to there. And also maybe a link from the actual Waxhaw town website too.
Mm-hmm.
This is Scott. Bob, that's a good input there. I certainly think something printed, whatever means, mailers, flyers at restaurants, local restaurants. I think that is kind of critical to make sure we're reaching everybody. Not everybody is, on social media, and the certain neighborhoods don't have the HOA, don't have the means to advertise. So I think a good combination of printed advertising along with the social media is paramount.
Yeah, I mean, nothing elaborate, just like a basic,
Agreed.
mimeographed page of something to give them the thing, a little bit of an explanation on it. And have that either posted in a restaurant or a grocery store,
Mhm.
and then maybe have copies, but don't go crazy with it. It's nothing,
No, that's a great idea, and I think we have some staff available to kind of make the runs out to these different locations, and just get their permission face to face and say, hey, can I leave some of these here in a prominent place? I think that will work, along with more formal interaction with say Harris Teeter, where we can ask them in advance. So yeah, I have somebody in mind that could just spend some time running around town and finding some good locations for them. Yeah, all we need to do is print them up. That's great.
Great. Does anybody else have any comments or suggestions? All right, then we'll turn it back to the presentation.
Okay. Well, the second item is it's still to be confirmed because I understand the town likes having 2 to 3 weeks to promote the various public events. We're looking tentatively at April 1st in the evening slot to do hopefully our only virtual public engagement session. We utilize the Zoom webinar platform. We have a facilitator and a panel of speakers, myself included, as well as a member of the town and our NCDOT project manager. And this is where we welcome the attendees and we walk them through what the plan is, what we've learned so far, and then basically we start soliciting feedback either through the chat or we have people unmute and they let us know where are their barriers, where do they want a new greenway. Basically, we hear people out and we also direct them to the survey, just like what we do with an in-person meeting where we have maps up around the room, where we have an initial presentation, describe what the plan is. Then we just start collecting data and push people to the survey as well if they're not comfortable asking questions unmuted. Our intent is to record this session, archive it, and then host it or share the media with the town. So the webinar, the session itself could be viewed later, and we'd be able to direct people again to the survey to help collect that information. So right now we're working with Blair in the town to determine is April 1st the right day or should we punt one more week?
I might punt a week only because isn't that the start of the and then isn't Good Friday the following day? Isn't Easter coming up on the Sunday the 4th?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, besides having 3 weeks if you punted a week, you would just have it off any potential, religious conflicts.
Yeah, that's a very good catch. Let's see, April. Well, April 1st, yeah, April 1st is Monday, Thursday. And, it's also a time also of vacations. That's something to consider. And yeah, having a little bit more time would be to our advantage, being able to be 3 weeks out rather than 2.5 has some advantage. I just don't want to push things too far forward. Joe, what are your thoughts about maybe a little bit further?
That's fine with me.
Okay. I think, let me pull up my calendar. Let's see. There we go. So many things to put on one screen here. So April 1st, yeah, Monday, Thursday, and then the Easter weekend. And then the 6th would be the first Tuesday of April. Lisa, are you on? She may have already left. Oh, she's going to have a little bit.
No, I'm still here.
Okay, what do you think about the 6th as far as town events?
April 6th. April 6th, Blair.
Yeah, what do you think about April 6th? That'd be that Tuesday night. But it's the first Tuesday of April.
I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't either. April 8th could be problematic because we have a HPC meeting that night, Historic Preservation Commission. But I'm not aware of anything else on April 6th, that Tuesday night. Lisa confirms that. So maybe we go with April 6th. How do people feel about that?
I think it's better than Easter week.
Yeah.
And especially that's Holy Thursday, but I'm actually out of town that week. Wondering, will they have any opportunity to do a live feed where other people could view in? It might be a good idea for the public even.
Isn't
to
that
ask
Oh,
questions.
Terry, sir, yeah, Terry, that's our intent. So it'd be the live session, and people would be able to ask questions, come off mute, type it in.
Oh, great.
And then we'd also archive the session too. So if people missed it, it's been happening, we'd be able to post that recording, direct people to it, and they could watch it, and then encourage them to, we'd edit it down as well, cut out some of the dead time, and then direct people towards the survey.
Sorry about the noise there.
Any other thoughts about April 6th? It sounds good. I mean, we won't make the final decision here, but it sounds like that's what we can do. I'll just run it by the town manager just to make sure from his point of view if there's anything else that might conflict with, but it looks like that would be a promising date. And yeah, the fact that it's virtual does give some flexibility to it for people, like you just mentioned.
And we've actually had, when we've done these types of hybrid meetings where you can attend during the live session and then view afterwards, we've actually had significantly higher attendance. We'd be able to track views afterwards and people being able to show up. Even when we've done multiple sessions, like we've done sessions in the morning, in the evening. The most views we've had for a metropolitan transportation plan, for example, for Winston-Salem, it was in the hours afterwards when people just fit it into their schedule. So we're trying to incorporate that flexibility given some of the limitations we have on in-person or have had.
All right, this is Scott. It sounds like we have a promising date, and Blair will shoot it up the flagpole and see if that will work. But good input, Bob and Terry, on the dates.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Well, Blair, that's all I had for the discussion on the plan. And then these are our contacts from NCDOT. Pam is our NCDOT project manager, and she participates in the steering committee meeting. So if you have questions from a DOT perspective, she'll be your contact. And then Luba and Connor are my colleagues that are more in the field, and you'll be able to see them at field visits in the future.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. We've enjoyed working with y'all through this process and look forward to taking it further, certainly. And I just want to thank the planning board as well for your input on this, and for those of you who are able to follow up with some of the contacts you mentioned. That's a huge help to us, just having more feet in the street and more people that can be reached through personal contacts. That makes a big difference. And so thank you for that. I look forward to hearing back from you. Please contact me about those things, about following up with either the grocery stores or any other contacts. And we'll have a successful meeting, I'm sure. And this is, as Joe mentioned, the overall schedule. These things tend to snowball. People get involved from the beginning, but then the word gets out and more excitement grows as they start to see a plan take shape and start to see lines on the map. So we know that we'll be able to increase the overall participation as time goes on. So, but thank you for you all's attention to this tonight. And I think that's all we have about the pet plan for now, Scott, unless there's any questions.
I did have a few questions if we have time.
Okay, so yeah, we'll turn this over to the discussion point at this point. Terry, please proceed.
Okay, sorry if I got ahead of you there, Scott. Just quickly, do you have any plans to incorporate shuttle for those that are disabled, handicapped, not able maybe to walk from Curitan? I see on the map, which I know we're targeting 5 to 10 minute walk. To me, that's a longer than 10-minute walk, but how are we working to accommodate those that can't, which would still like to participate in Waxhaw as a walkable town? Maybe can walk a shorter distance, but do we have any plans to incorporate, or can we add that as a side note to continue?
Just to be clear, you're talking about as recommendations in the plan overall, or are you talking about taking part in particular events of the planning process?
I think for the overall plan, when I just look at really quickly there, the snapshot that we have, which comes all the way up to Kensington Road. And it's nice to incorporate everybody in a walkable plan, and some people need assistance with that. So maybe just we can have that thought continuing, how do we incorporate accessible opportunities for those that would still like to be out and about. A shuttle is an idea. I know that some people or some towns have had, not only to help with, if you move parking, which I know is another issue of ours, off location, but also for those that can't quite make the full walk, but want to go downtown and walk around. So just wanted to add that onto the list if it wasn't there for topics for consideration. And also, do we have any plans to implement a blue light safety phone?
Films matching separation.
Sorry, phone's off now. Blue light safety phones in these walkable locations, something if we haven't added that into the plan, maybe we could.
Absolutely.
Well, Terry, the plan does ask about barriers, and one of them is personal safety. So the not from vehicles, but personal security while walking. And if that does come up in certain areas or certain locations, there are the corresponding plan recommendations that we can make regards to infrastructure and programming to help match those concerns.
Okay, good. I'll make sure that I include that on the survey when I send one in too, so we can keep it official on there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hope you all take the survey and just provide notes and ideas like this right there directly on it, in addition to what you're saying tonight.
Awesome. I'll make sure I do that. And I know, Blair, you and I have talked about this before, some ideas that I had about changing the way that the traffic moves through downtown and maybe reserving some of the area that's currently used for parking for more pedestrian walkway. So it's probably a good idea just to participate in the meeting and we talk about broader strategy. So I'll throw that in there. And sorry, one more question. So I know during your pilot right now, you're collecting data. Can you tell me, is it aggregate or personal data? And also, will we be able to keep that data once you're done? Do we have access to your raw data? And what does that look like?
Well, so when we get to project closeout, we hand over everything to the town. For example, the project recommendations, the lines on the map, as Blair were noting, those are then uploaded to NCDOT for use in their statewide pedestrian bicycle inventory network, PBN. So actually, if you want to go, I think Blair could share in that link. If you wanted to see every town and city's pedestrian plan recommendations, you can see, you can get a sense of where they were depending on when they developed their plan. Now, when it comes to survey results, people can voluntarily submit their like a phone number or an email if they want to be contacted for the raffle to do with the incentive, but it's not required. And other than that, it's anonymous data. And we do aggregate it to some extent. We try and develop themes and draw out some of these higher quantity recommendations, and we share all the survey data with the town as well. So that this plan is yours, this data is yours, nothing is done that it's proprietary. So we hand everything over.
You're pulling from the road. You showed Nash. You're doing traffic pattern and pedestrian pattern, right?
So yeah,
raw data. You're not geoframing or
correct.
We're not type of cellular draw.
No. There are other types of projects that will scrape mobile phone data. This is not one of those projects where we go out and grab it.
Great. And we can have that. Does that come back to Blair when we're done? We see the actual counts if we need it, and raw data file if Waxhaw wants it.
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, because what we do with the data in putting together a plan, or actually what VHB will do in amassing the plan, is one thing, but then, they've put together that plan from a whole collection of data that there may be other uses for, other interests in.
Exactly.
So we will have that and
Great.
have it as a resource, ongoing resource.
You're on it, Blair. I love it.
Well, we just got to act on it when we have it, because you know how fast data can go stale.
Yeah, but it's great to have. So thanks. Sounds like a really exciting project. Thanks. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for being part of it, Terry, and everybody.
Great. Good input, Terry. Anybody else have any comments or suggestions or like to discuss anything regarding this?
I have a question, Deepa Lime, and this question is not regarding the planning, but the presentation that we just saw, if I have to review it again, where can I find it?
Blair, if you'd like, I can send it on over.
I think that'd be great, and I could just follow up and send it out to, or Lisa or I will send it out to the planning board.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Blair.
Appreciate it, Deepa.
All right, this is Scott. Anybody else have any questions or any discussion items with this? With that said, then I have a couple questions. The advertising, we've already addressed that. And thank you for all the information on that. Just grants. What other grants have you guys entertained or possibly actively pursuing? I know there's a lot of them out there. Safe Walk, Safe Routes to School, for example, is a popular national one. Where are you guys, and what's your strategy regarding that?
Well, I want to say before Joe jumps in, the plan itself will include, I believe, and Joe, you can correct me, but the plan will include a broad range of funding strategies that are appropriate for different types of projects. Joe can elaborate on that. But as far as what we're doing now, I know that engineering is involved with the TAP grants and transportation related grants. Parks and Recreation pursues Part F and other recreational type grants that include pedestrian connections like greenways. And I would want to, I need to get up to speed with them on the progress of each of those right now and what they're pursuing. But let me pass the potato to Joe here and see what he has to comment on that.
Everything that Blair said, plus we try and identify nonprofit sources as well. So in addition to the federal and state, depending on the makeup of the community, there are AARP placemaking grants, better block grants, basically creative space making, how to activate either spaces that are in transition or vacant to get people to stop and stay, linger, enjoy, shop, that type of thing, as well as that can fund some additional development or additional design and planning for pedestrian improvements. So we recommend those, and we identify when those eligibility windows are up and what projects would qualify. There are also other programs within NCDOT, like the Watch for Me and See campaign, which is all about encouragement, education, and enforcement surrounding pedestrian safety. If the town hasn't participated in that, we will make a recommendation to tie into that program in the next cycle, as well as other programs that may be related. But given that this is a pedestrian plan, there are also, there is a bicycle element, not specific to this plan, but we'll identify like helmet programs, for example, bicycle training programs. And I'm trying to think, there are other strategies we recommend, and not so much grants, but more of taking advantage of other programs and construction and resurfacing that NCDOT is doing, and how to incorporate projects in those plans 4 to 5 years out. And given NCDOT's updated complete streets policy, it's extremely favorable for towns to include a greenway, shared use path, crossing improvement, or a sidewalk in a locally adopted plan. So when that roadway comes up for not necessarily resurfacing, but for construction that may be will realign pavement markings or more substantially change where the curb or addition of travel lanes, this type of thing. A very favorable cost share for the town to get those sidewalks, greenways, and others incorporated. So it's not just the grants, but we will identify those. It's also how to get your project funded through these other sources.
All right, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with the grants, and I know the benefits they can bring, and especially when there's funding shortages, and with the town size and its growth, it's ripe for availability on taking advantage of some of those grants and other alternate funding sources. So just my suggestion is definitely Blair will take advantage of your consultant and trying to find out where some creative ways of tapping into these funds. And then also if you can follow up with your staff, how they're approaching it, or, what's the approach, who's reviewing those, who's looking out for them, who's applying for them, etc. And that is all that I have. Does anybody else have anything for discussion? Okay. Just want to express my appreciation for everybody's comments, and there was a lot of good input on this tonight. So thank you everybody for that. This is very important to the town, and we definitely appreciate putting this plan together. And I can definitely appreciate the work that's involved and everything you have to do. And we do appreciate that. So with that said, if there's no other discussion, I would like to go ahead on the next item of adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn, Terry Nolan.
Thank you for the motion, Terry. And Alyssa, can we get a vote?
Chairman Scott Shelton,
Chairman Shelton, aye.
Vice Chair Bob Morgan,
Bob Morgan, aye.
Terry Nolan,
Terry Nolan, aye.
Deepa Limay,
Deepa Limay, aye.
James Granger. Is he still with us?
I think you dropped to go to Nicholas.
Is James still with us or is he gone already?
I don't see him.
Okay, it looks like Nick and James still left. So the ayes have it then.
Oh, Nick is still here.
Nick is
Is he
here.
here?
Yeah, next year.
Nick is here with us in spirit.
All right, well, the ayes have it. Those who can vote.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a good night. Thank you again. Thanks for the great presentation, and
Thank
thanks
you,
for the
Joe.
great
Thank you,
conversation.
Thanks, Joe. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Blair.
everyone.
all for
Good to
having
see
me.
you.
Thank you,
Joe,
Alyssa.
thanks, Blair.
Bye.